Welcome to the University of Badassery. This is CJ Ortiz, and I am the Metal Motivator. Seated directly 80 miles across from me is the fire-breathing professor of ass kickery, the dean who destroys all things douchebaggery, the epitome of toxic masculinity. At Spartech NC, he's the chief butcher of body brutality. He's the philosopher of basic dude stuff, and he's the squadron leader at the Pat Mac Keep the Blaze Alive coaching squad. Patrick Heavy Metal McNamara.
Bro, you have got a gift, man. Damn. That is freaking awesome. Man, just follow me around, please. I say that every freaking podcast episode. Dude, just follow me around. Before I walk into the pub at O'Donnell's,
that's exactly what I'm doing, man.
On a megaphone, on a megaphone. Hey, so CJ, freaking awesome seeing you again, my man. I'm looking forward to this podcast.
This is killer. Our wires are getting crossed, Pat Mac, because we're doing so much now in our coaching squad.
Yep.
Live streaming videos, Zoom calls with Tier 1. You're, of course, doing podcasts out the wazoo yourself. I got stuff I'm doing on Metal Motivation. We don't know what we're doing from time to time. We have to remember whose show we're on. We could at this point we could almost for neglect to do the university.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Something I'm forgetting, man.
Yeah, we got some shit jammed in a pipeline right there, bro. Damn.
Yeah, so in fact, for those of you who need to know, the coaching squad has been going outstanding now, and we are well into this thing. Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3. Of course, it's reverse. You kind of expect that the Tier 3 would be the highest level, but I'm dealing with Mac, a unit guy. So Tier 1 has to be the highest level. And right. I'm able to participate because, as I like to say, I'm a Tier 1 civilian. So that works for all of us. And but it's been going outstanding. Amazing people, Pat Mac, in the coaching squad. I don't know how you drew so many quality people.
Yeah, it's amazing. The caliber of people that we have there in the squad is it really doesn't surprise me though, because I meet a lot of good freaking people on the interwebs, bro, And the other thing is, if you're putting out good content, good quality content, you usually attract a better quality human being.
Yeah.
If you're posting douchebaggery and ass clownery and buffoonery, then you're going to get a buffoon following you. So exactly right. It doesn't really surprise me that much.
No, but we start throwing in there orthopedic surgeons and lawyers and guys overseas at embassies, and then assorted business owners and just guys overall just kicking ass as dads and employees. It's just everybody's has a stellar attitude, determined to make the very best of themselves, maximize their lives. I'll tell you what, man, I got to go pretty far these days to find people like that I can go to war with. So that's been outstanding. Want to learn more about it? There'll be links in the show notes, but the simple way is patreon.com/coaching squad. Today's episode, before we get into it, is brought to you by who, Mac?
Invader Coffee. This one here just happens to be the T-Max Blaze Ops blend, double dark. Invader Coffee, our good friend Wes at Rogue American Apparel. Stuff is freaking legit. Veteran-owned company, and he's got several different blends. He's got blondes, lights, darks, all that stuff. And it's made right there, roasted in Austin, Texas. And also, Taconic Distillery. Damn, bro. If you're a bourbon guy like I am, and this isn't just me saying this. So when and CJ, don't think that I am like me just power slamming all that stuff when we, when we get a shipment, because I share it with guys.
Yeah.
But I share it. I'm careful not to feed caviar to a hog. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
So if there's a dude who's not a bourbon guy,
no.
I've got other stuff. I mean, I'm not going to name the brands, but I've got other stuff that they could drink and they're going to go, oh, this is freaking good. And to me, it's crap. But the guys who like good stuff, I share that Taconic and they go, oh my God, damn, bro, this is freaking legit. So it's not just me saying it, other people are saying it too. And man, yeah. It's my favorite bourbon. Not drinking the Kool-Aid, because they're sponsored. They're sponsored because it's my favorite bourbon.
Right. Yeah. Well, he came through from one of your classes, and that's when he reached out. And my, of course, my son, my second son is working through my supply faster than
Right.
so every time I cook, so I have them lined up in the dining room. Every time it comes downstairs, I'm thinking, wasn't there 4 bottles there yesterday?
Oh,
So he's a Taconic fan as
Nice.
well. Anyway, today's a good episode. This is one that Mac and I have been talking about for quite a while. I have gotten to know our guest today a little bit, and that's been awesome. What a huge encouragement he is. Great to follow. He's very artistic, like you, Mac.
Yeah,
half
man.
the stuff he posts is like, photos that he's
Yep.
taken and just in and around where he is. But I'm not going to try and do this justice, man. I'm going to let you introduce your buddy.
Well, I'm going to make it just brief because I think we'll get a good feel for our guest as we're chit-chatting. But our guest is a really good friend of mine. We were super tight for years and years. We were in Vanilla Special Forces together. We went to selection together, OTC for Delta, and we were in the unit at the same time together. He's got a long, distinguished career, special ops career like mine, and just a all-around good cat. And this cat is George Hand. George, thanks for being here, my brother from another mother.
a bro from another hoe. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, this is I've done a few podcasts, not a whole bunch, but this is the only one that I looked forward to. I don't like doing them. I still like, especially if they're video.
Yep.
I would turn those down. But I'm totally looking forward to it. Got up early this morning, man. Cut my hair.
Dude, that high and tight is looking high and tight, man.
Yeah, because I don't show up, to see Mac without a good haircut.
Never late, or out of uniform, bro.
That's right, man. I can't disrespect.
That's right.
No,
This is
George, it's
looking
awesome
good.
to have you, dude. Very, very happy to have you here.
Yeah, seriously, CJ, this really is. This is the podcast.
Yeah.
The end all podcast for me.
I listened to your podcast with
Oh,
Soft Rep Radio. Soft
yeah,
Rep?
I've done more with them than anybody else.
Well, I loved it, man. I sat out in the front yard in my Adirondack chair with bourbon, and I am going to bug you to tell one of the stories that you told there. When it comes to podcasts, like me personally, I hate talking about the same shit over and over and over again.
Yeah,
But there is one, and we'll get to it. But that was good. You were well spoken, and I loved when. Well, you're a funny guy too. So, but you interject humor with brevity, and it's very appealing. I dig it, man. It was
cool,
good.
man.
That one was
glad.
good. Yeah.
I'm glad.
Yep.
Well, you're very articulate, very well spoken, and you got just that right blend of tenor and baritone there. So I'm just thinking, man, this guy's it's only gonna be an hour and a half. He's gonna have his own show.
Yeah, that's right.
He's gonna leave us in the dust, and we'll be begging.
Yeah, it's a very show. George has got a very soothing voice.
I've heard that.
Storytelling with George. Let's have storytelling time with George Hand today.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. Yep. Goldilocks and the Three Bears, bro. Hey, so one of the things I boast about, George is a linguist. And when we were in the unit together, we chit chat about guys and stuff like that. And guys would say, yeah, George is really gifted. And I would get kind of poopy pants about it. I said, bro, that's not a gift. He works his freaking ass off on that.
Thank you,
man.
Thanks very much, man.
Dude, I would always say that.
Ooh.
I said, yeah. And this is something else too that George won't say, but how many languages does George speak? He speaks all of them. Well, I mean, I know that he's like fluent in several, but I bet you could pull out, Swahili or Navajo or at least a few phrases from each, or survival phrases from each one. But that's no freaking shit, CJ. It's like all of the languages. You can go on any freaking continent and be able to communicate. But this is a guy who, to and from work, would listen to audio cassettes and have notebooks. And, there's a story when he was in first group, Steve Cash, our good buddy, told me this story. And I don't know if there's some hyperbole here or not, but George was spoke a couple Asian languages, but they were going to Korea for the first time. And George didn't speak Korean, but he brought some language books with him. And the flight to Korea on a military friggin' hop is like, a day and a half because you got to stop in Wake Island and Guam and all this stuff and fuel up. Mm-hmm. But by the time they hit the ground, George was communicating, not speaking, but communicating better in Korean than the school-trained interpreter that they brought with him.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know if there's hyperbole there, but I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't put
Now,
it
George,
past.
that was obviously an individual drive because it wasn't required.
Right.
I know you guys did language training, but nothing to that level.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so, hey, Ung. So Ung is Mr. in Thai. Ung. So it's something we've called each other for years and years. Ung. Or Kun. Kun is Mr. Ung is friend. Right? Ung.
Ung is Vietnamese.
Vietnamese, that's right.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep, right. But since CJ just asked it, you told the story on that Soft Rep podcast about working in the restaurant.
Oh yeah, man.
And
Yeah.
but I think that's where it began, right? Was that your first language outside of English?
Oh, actually, it was no, it was kind of the second. I mean, I took Spanish in high school.
Yep.
So if you can imagine, and I mean, it's almost worthless Spanish,
Mm-hmm.
but I ran with it. When I left high school, I pretty much ran with it on my own and improved it. But yeah, at the restaurant, I mean, I was working at the restaurant when I was in high school.
Right.
But the reason I got that job at the restaurant is because one of my classmates, in metal shop, is he saw me scribbling, Chinese characters on a piece of paper because I was studying it at home, on my own personal time. I got checked out a book one summer from the library. There's like 35 lessons in there and 20 Chinese characters per lesson. And through the entire summer, man, I was just like fighting my way through that book. But yeah, he saw me scribbling that, and he goes, "Hey, I'm leaving school, man. I'm cutting out of here, but I got a job at the only Chinese restaurant in town." He goes, "You want that job?" I'm like, "Yeah." Are you kidding? It's just dishwashing. I'm like, "Yeah, are you kidding? I'll take it." So, yeah, I took it, and I was just kind of keeping the Chinese under my hat there, and I would kind of try to bust out with a couple of words here and there, and the boss would frown at me like, "What are you doing?" And because I mean, they spoke Cantonese in there, and not even a Hong Kong dialect. They spoke a weird off dialect called Toi San. And I went to Seattle, Chinatown, and I got a book on Hong Kong dialect Cantonese. And I brought that to work, and I'm just like, I'm washing dishes and I'm opening that book, and trying to say some phrases to the boss. He would just roll his eyes at me. He's like, "Oh, wash the dishes, boy," So it just wouldn't happen, but I just kept at it. And one day the buzzer on the back door rang, because we have a back door there and there's a buzzer. And as the boy, it was the boy's job to go answer the door. And there were a couple of cars had gotten broken into there in the parking lot. And so the boss called the police, and they were there in the back door, and they wanted to talk, interview the boss and us if we'd seen anything. So I went up at the door. They go, "Yeah, we're here to see, kid singing." I was like, "Oh, stand by, I'll go get him." So I went out to the front and I yelled, in Cantonese. I went, "Kim, the police are here," in Cantonese. And I was kind of assed up, but, says, "Hey, Kim, Genchat Lai Do, Genchat Lai Do La." And he looked at me, took out a cigarette. And he was giving this weird look. And he was walking to the back door, looking at me the whole time. I was like, so he's done with the police and he comes back up. He came right to me, and he goes, "Hey, boy, what did you just say?" I said, "The police are here." He goes, "No, how did you say that in Cantonese?" And I said, "Ging Chat Lai Joy La." He goes, "Okay, listen. When you say lie, you sigh, like you sigh, lie. Jaw raises like a question. So it's lie, jaw. Not lie, jaw. Put my own Chinese spin to it. But from that point on, he just like started taking me serious because, he understood that sentence. And he came up and he corrected me. And that was it, man. So like every night after work, it'd be like 10, 11 o'clock at night. I was just a punk in high school. And he would sit there tapping away on this calculator, doing the receipts, tallying up the receipts, watching TV, smoking. And I'd sit behind him and I would just read out of this book, sentence after sentence. And I go, this fucker's not listening, But every now and then he'd go, say that again, have me repeat it. And he'd make some corrections.
Wow.
And I got all the way through this whole book. It's like, and I was there for 5 years. So at the end of 5 years, working back in the kitchen, I was cooking then, not washing dishes. And I was just burning through our days in Cantonese. Wow. And when I got to the Army, I kept that shit quiet when I was in the infantry. But when I got to SF, all the guys had languages, like, hey, how do I take an exam? And they showed me where to go to take a DLI post test on Cantonese. And I took it and I got a high score, man. I got like max pay immediately. So, extra $100 a month guaranteed for a year. Mm-hmm. And I would retake that test every year. I was the only guy in the Army taking that stupid test. It was the same test. And by the time I finished taking that test, I was getting like a 3+ in listening comprehension. And I had a 3, and I couldn't get a plus for the other one. And I was like, what questions am I missing? Like, I know every question on this test. And I figured out it was 2 of them. And I would ask every Chinese person I run into, I go, listen. What's the answer to this? And I would write the sentence down in Chinese. And then I would give them the 3 choices. And I got different answers every time.
Oh my God.
And I was like, absence makes the heart grow fonder, a miss as good as a mile, and can't see the trees for the forest. Those were the 3 answers. And the sentence was, literally translates to close in front of your eyes, far away in the skies, It's like, I don't know. But I got different answers. So I just said, that's bullshit. So I never could get every single question on that test right because
subjective.
Well, Chinese couldn't even get it right, So right. I didn't feel that bad. I think that's the story, though, and that's
it, man. That's freaking cool as hell. One of your it's amazing that one of your very first languages is probably the hardest freaking language to learn.
It kind of made everything else like gravy after that, mm-hmm. And and CJ, I learned. I'll tell you what. I have German. German's one of my languages. I got a good score for it. And I got my German foundation from Mac and Steve Cashin.
Yep.
Like my foundation's from them. We were in selection, together. There's a bunch of days off, administrative days off, driving Rangers nuts because there's no instructions, and right. And all we did is I hung out with Mac and Steve, and we'd go up, belly up to a chalkboard, and these guys would start filling this chalkboard. George, this is the dad of prepositional case. Dem, die, der, den, der, das, die, der, das. And they were teaching me all this grammar and sentences like, es ist nur ein Katzsprung von hier. And I would memorize sentences like Max, a really tough, complicated grammatical sentences that Mac had formulated in DLI and was correct. And it was like it was his prize, his trophy. And it was, wie hätte ich das wissen können, dass es nicht zurück nach Hause hätte gehen sollen?
Ja, right. Ja? Wie hätte ich das wissen können, dass es sollte wissen müssen, dass ich nicht nach Hause hätte gehen sollen?
Ich muss jetzt gehen, warmen zu pissen.
I had to memorize those ridiculous sentences because the grammar in German is so freaking hard, man.
Yeah, it's a mother. It's a mother.
Ich könnte ein Fließbandarbeiter werden können, wenn ich Harry Gett gekannt hätte. Oh, I think I got it. Right. It's been a while.
Bitch, man. That's a bitch.
I heard cunt.
Yeah.
That one I knew.
The only worst grammar for me was the Serbo-Croatian, because it rather than just the 4 prep cases, it has 6. Oh, so I had to deal with 2 more prepositional cases. But I couldn't have touched it if I didn't have a foundation in German like I did, I think.
Yeah, it's funny. Like when I went to DLI for German,
Yeah,
we had to learn English again.
that's a fact, man.
Yeah,
it's true for most
like,
foreign
holy shit.
languages.
Yeah, it's like holy shit, you got to learn freaking grammar again. It's like math.
So did you guys ever think in another language?
Yeah. I have when I was submersed in it and I was having to communicate on a daily basis, while serving in Deutschland, I would have dreams in German. So it's it's like whenever you're submersed, like George Hand and I went through communications course together.
Yeah,
Special Forces Communications.
You left that one out, man. That's a big one for me.
And so the first several weeks were Morse code.
Oh,
and you're doing nothing but just studying Morse code. You're hearing the dits and the das, and you got headphones on, and you're receiving and transmitting Morse code, Morse code, Morse code, Morse code. So there was a time, but the same thing happens. You start dreaming in Morse code. But there was a time. It was funny when we were in this classroom, and the windows had paper on them, so nobody could look in, and there was kind of a lull in the class, and one of the pieces of paper started to fall, and people started trying to copy the Morse code sounds from the paper. They were like, "Oh my God, is that Morse code? Holy crap! Is that I think that was a foxtrot."
Oh my God! I can remember driving home at night. Driving down, all the billboards. And I'm just driving along, going da 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 da. Just Morse code and all the letters.
Yep.
And you had to, CJ. You had to for the test. You had to send Morse code on a recorder, a cassette recorder. So you're tapping this thing out, leg key, right? Tap, 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 tap. Then you had to rewind it. Then you had to copy your own code. So if you were a shit fist, right, Mac? That was the term.
Oh yeah, shit fist.
Shit fist is somebody who couldn't tap well, and it sounds like garbage. You can't read it. But if you were a shit fist, then it was on you. You had to suck up your own crappy code. So and so we sent 15, and we had to copy 18 or something like that.
Yeah, it was tough, man. It was tough, bro.
But we still remember it to this day.
Yeah. Yep.
Still.
How does a dash go down with a leg slap?
It's
just a little bit longer. So you're tapping on an oscillator. So as long as you're maintaining pressure, it's going to go boop.
Right.
So
boop, boop.
Right, but if you're slapping your leg,
that oscillator is on your leg.
Oh, I got you.
It's telegraph key. Yeah, like a telegraph key. It's exactly
attached to your leg, so you could just sit comfortably and tap that code out.
Right.
Oh, he just called you. Out.
Yep.
We called your name, CJ.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah.
Hey,
I wasn't listening.
CJ, I was wondering if we could discuss the terms that I laid out for us to be in a podcast.
Yeah, that took a few days of negotiation. A lot of back and forth. George, I had no idea. Usually you hit somebody up about doing a podcast. Oh yeah, sure, do one. I'm in. Or they can't do it right away. They'll schedule it for another day. George is like, okay, listen, I'd love to be there, but I've got terms. And I'm like, oh, geez. So his terms, Pat Mack, as you're well aware of, is a particular story, which actually he brought it up to me before, months ago, saying, hey, man, ask Mac about this story. I completely forgot to ask about the story because I don't remember what the terms, what he was using, the names he was using.
Yep.
And so now we have
when you told me
to fulfill our obligation.
Yeah. Because when you told me, hey, George has conditions. You told me that he wanted to hear the story of Marvin's revenge.
Yes.
And I went, yeah. So I'm going to tell this story.
It's my favorite freaking story, man.
A lot of people who know me, like grew up with me in the military, heard this story because it's a neat story. And CJ, you heard about my transformation, through like my metamorphosis and my teenage years. So imagine, the the town I grew up in Connecticut, I was smashed between 3 different housing projects. And the elementary school I went to was, it was only 5% white guys.
Mhm.
The rest was Black, Puerto Rican. So, most of my friends growing up were Black kids.
Mhm.
And when I was 14, I had 3 jobs, mowing lawns and raking leaves and delivering papers. And my mom told me, hey, you need to get a freaking bank account. So I got a bank account and I would hoof it through the projects with my cash earnings to go to the bank and make my deposit. And this one particular winter, I'm walking to the bank and a car drives by and they like swerved, like pretending they were going to hit me on the road. And, it's just the nature of where I grew up. I didn't give a shit. It just shit like that's going to happen. There's going to be bullies and there's going to be fights. But I gave these guys a look, when they did that. And I was a real wimpy kid at the time, but they pulled over, backed up, and these 3 big older teenage Black guys jumped out of the car. So I'm 14 and they're 19, they're like men as far as I was concerned. And they're in my face, man. They are, I am scared. I am shaking like a dog shitting sand spurs. And plus I had my bank book in my back pocket and $60 freaking in cash, man. $60. Yeah, that's a lot of money back then, man. Especially for a 14-year-old kid. And they're asking me, what do you got on you? You got any money? You got any cigarettes? You got this? I said, no, I don't have anything. And one of them is behind me and he's breathing right on my neck, call him all kind of racial slurs and stuff. But it was just commonplace, then. That really didn't bother me. And this guy whips out of my back pocket, my bank book. He's like, oh, motherfucker, you are lying. We're going to kick your ass because you're white, and they punch me in the face and push snow in my face and stuff like that. And right then the cops freaking just happened to drive by. And I flag him down and 2 of them boogie and leave one of them there. And they leave this guy Marvin there. And Marvin has the cash.
Marvin.
And, the cops interviewed him and got the money back. And they said, well, we're going to have to, arrest. They were cool as hell to bolt because they didn't know the full story. So I had to go to the police station and identify him positively and the other guys in a mugshot book, bro. I was looking at a mugshot book when I was 14 years old.
They were already in there?
Yeah, they were already in there. Yep, I remember the other one's names too. I'm not going to say their first and last names, but one of them's first name was Junior and the other was, I can't remember. But his last name, the other one was last name was Foster. But years went by. Older brother goes to jail. I start getting tough, join a wrestling team, learning how to fight. I've been in some street fights and I'm working in a grocery store. And my boss calls me up. He says, hey, there's a guy shoplifting in aisle 12. Go check him out. So I walk down the aisle and it's freaking Marvin, man. A couple years.
Sorry.
I said, holy crap. No, it's fine. I said, Marvin, do you remember me? And now I'm beggar now. And I think I'm badass too. I got veins and stuff popping out of my arms. And Marvin's identified me as my older brother because I looked similar. And I said, nope, I'm the younger one. I'm Patrick, the guy you robbed 3 years ago. And I punched him right in his freaking face as hard as I could. And he went ass over tea kettle into this big display of cereal boxes. And thankfully, and he's a big guy. Thankfully, we had a store security guard and he ran over and, diffused it and kicked Marvin out. Not the end of that story. I'm running home from work one night because I would run through the projects and I would run through this field, jog home, a mile and a half or whatever. And I see a fight in this field. It's dark. And I said, well, none of my business. But then I hear a girl scream and I'm like, holy crap, there's a dude beating up a chick. And I'm scared. I'm like, do I intervene or not? And I crouch down in the bushes and I see that this chick is pregnant too. I could see her, the silhouette. And I could also tell that the guy is like drunk or stoned. So I'm like, all right, I could deal with this. So I run over there. He's on top of her. I flip her over and it's one of the other guys. It's Junior. It's one of the other guys. Now, holy crap. So I just freaking whoosh, whoosh, a couple times in the face. And I walk her home. She could barely speak English, Puerto Rican chick. So I joined the army. I'm in, I come home for the first time after Special Forces training, bring home stuff with me, like I had some pyrotechnics and stuff like that. But I'm running through the projects, and it's nighttime, about 9:00. And I run by this, it used to be a pool hall. Now it's out of service, but there's a street light in it, and a green Monte Carlo pulls up in this parking lot, parks underneath the street light. And as I'm getting closer, I cross paths with the owner of this Monte Carlo, and it's freaking Marvin.
No.
Again.
Yes.
Green Monte
And now, I'm high and tight, and I'm built now, and I run right by Marvin. I'm like, holy crap, that is Marvin. I am not done with Marvin. So I boogie home, and I jump in my mom's Bronco. I said, hey, I'm going to take a ride. And I park it in the neighborhood over, and I kind of patrol my way through this field that's adjacent to the parking lot. And I'm looking left and right, and it's pretty quiet. Right. And I had with me one of these things called I think it's called the M116. It's it's made for a training booby trap. It just makes a loud bang. It's got a string on it.
Right.
So I tie some twine onto this end of this booby trap, this little pyrotechnic, and I sneak over to his car, and I open up the gas tank, and I put the string down in there in this pyrotechnic, and I put the gas cap on loose, and I run into the woods, and I pull that string.
Oh, wow.
Car goes up in flames. Didn't explode, just up in flames. Whoosh. Yep. I feel like, what's that called? Statute of limitations and all that stuff. It's been a few years, so I could tell the story in open forum.
Okay.
Dude, you were screaming for vengeance, man.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so that's kind of a brief story of Marvin's revenge right there. I hear he's no longer with us on the planet. Drugs got the best of him or whatever, or fight or something.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
something like that.
It,
dude, how did you get intel on Marvin to know he was deceased?
He was still living. My family's still there in that town.
Okay.
Yep. So.
And they keep up with Marvin, apparently.
No. I think my sister told me, because he was a drug dealer.
Megan.
Oh, okay. Yep. Megan. Yep.
Megan and Amy. I've basically waited 30 years to hear that story, man. I loved it so freaking much, man. And I'd go to, this is almost unheard of. I'd go to Mac's house and hang out, and I go, hey, Mac, tell me the story about, you're asking someone to repeat a story. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't test him. I just really, he's a really good storyteller.
Yeah.
I like hearing him, and there's like nothing else, and, but they wouldn't change a bit. I noticed, it occurred to me, over the year, those stories don't change an iota because they're true. Right. It's like, he didn't kick. Now he's kicking two guys' ass. Last year was only one guy.
Yep.
It's like that. But the Marvin's revenge part is, Mac, he decided he wanted to take up guitar. And I was like, yeah, good luck, man. Mm-hmm. So I would play, he would go, yeah, that's great, man. And I played classical gas, and he liked it. So he decided to take up guitar, and that's great, And I would go to his house. Here's an axiomatic truth. I'll tell it to you, is that when you're first learning how to play the guitar, no one on the planet knows what the hell you're trying to play but you. Mm-hmm. Just in your head, you hit the wrong note and you say in your head, that didn't count. But everyone else is hearing all this mess.
Right.
So I go to Max and listen. He goes, George, check this out. He'd start pling, 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 pling. I go, God, what the hell is that? And it'd be like that day after day. And one, fuck man, I go to one day I'm at his house, and he picks up the guitar, and I go, oh my God, and he whips out a Van Halen tune, Ain't Talking About Love. And I go, holy shit, that's Van Halen. And it's like from then on, man, it was like leaps and bounds, I'd come back there and he'd be playing like Orange Blossom, Take Down, whatever. And he got good at it. He got good. And then he got electric guitars. And then he goes, I'm going to take up drums. Whoa,
Yeah.
He picked up drums. And then he, picked up bass. And he was playing rhythms. He played leads. And he got a mixer. and he starts doing he made his own CD, of his tunes.
CJ's heard it.
Tunes.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, and I've never heard him, in his lab, his sound studio. I never heard him in his studio, so I didn't know how it was going. But he goes, one day he handed me a disc. He goes, "Hey, George, this is the CD of my work, my music. I wonder if you could listen to it and critique it." I'm like, "I don't know, Mac. I'm kind of busy, and got to mow the lawn, trim the trees." So I took it and I put it in my truck, and so I listened to it finally after a couple of days, and I was like, "Oh, what? Come on,
Mm-hmm.
I listened to the whole CD, and it had its moments, like ouch, but I listened. I go, God, and I kept like taking the jacket and go, "What's the name of that song again?" He had all these names, Mama Flies, but the one was Marvin's Revenge, and I would always jump to that one, and I'd listen to that tune. And next thing you know, I'm like listening, instead of listening to my language tapes driving to work, instead of listening to those, I'm like listening to Mac's CD as entertainment. Like, yeah, just driving along, throwing bottles out. It had everything, man. It was good. It was just freaking good. It was my music entertainment.
That's the luxury of having a mixer. You could always rewind and re-record.
Yeah. Well, let me ask something though. Okay, so Max often said that when it comes down to selection, it's hard to say who exactly they're looking for. They're just looking for the right guy, so it's not necessarily
right guy.
The people that you think. However, there does seem to be, from me talking to a lot of you unit guys, some common traits. And so whether it's Mac doing what he's done with his skill set, you doing what you've done with your skill set, the languages, for example, there is that in common, because nobody's paying you obviously to learn languages when you're in high school.
Right.
And even Mac's drive for revenge is still coming out of that very same place.
Yeah.
It's your compounding excellence. It's not enough to do something once or twice. There's this desire to push through, what requires great patience. It's something very dull and very mundane about daily living, so if you're learning Cantonese every day or teaching yourself guitar or what have you, that takes the ability to suck up mundanacity. That's, is that you find that was instilled? You find it was something that was taught to you? Do you feel like that's just a basic wiring for you kind of guys?
Dude. Well, for me, I just, I didn't really know any better. And, I knew there was things that I wanted, I wanted certain things. And like in my high school, they actually offered Chinese, because one of the science professors had lived in Beijing for an amount of time, and he came back, and they just thought it was nifty that they could offer it in the curriculum, but nobody was going to take that shit. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to. I was like, I want to sign up for Chinese. And he said, well, we got to have we can't just have one student. The minimum required is 3 students. And so I got 2 girls to said degree they were going to sign up for it, then just like ditch it, just to help me get in there. Right. And I told my mother, and she told me I couldn't take it. I was like, why not? Because I was already dabbling on my own in Chinese. She goes, because it's too hard, and you're gonna fail that course, and then you're gonna end up having to go to summer school, and I'm not gonna put up with that shit. I was like, what a great mother, Mm-hmm. And so because of that, I kind of tasted blood. That's when I went that summer, Mac, and got that book from the library. It's like, slam. Does you going swimming today? I'm like, no. All I did was turn pages. I didn't go swim and frolic and have fun. I just studied every freaking day.
Frolic.
But I didn't know any better, CJ. So the mundanacity, I said, this is as good as it gets. Mm-hmm. It's not going to get fun. It's just going to be this way. And I can stand it. I just have to understand and accept that it's going to be this amount of not fun every single day. until I
But
get to
again,
some level.
I mean, but usually we have a goal in mind. We have a desired outcome. So I could see, when you're in SF and maybe you want to get more into what the spooks are doing or something like that. So you got this drive to do language. You're in high school. What do you think you're going to pick up chicks by being able to belt out Cantonese? What was the motive?
I had a fascination with foreign languages, with two people that could stand there and have a conversation and me not understand one single word. To me, it was a secret friggin' code. And when I left Arizona at like 13 years old, or I left Oklahoma, got to Arizona, and was going to grade school, and it mostly was Mexican children there. And when they would speak Spanish back and forth, I was just like, holy crap. I got to have some of that. I got to know that. And it went back even further. I think I was 9 years old watching a TV program. It was a B movie, just a piece of shit made in China. And I remember they're running through the woods for some reason, and someone fired these flares up in the air, right? Well, when the flares burst, they burst into 3 Chinese characters. And the guys on the ground stopped. They went, oh. And they changed direction and ran somewhere else. But for about a minute, I was like this. You could have run your hand across my face. I was just staring at those 3 characters like, my God, what on earth is that? And that was it, man. I was bit.
Well, do you find? I mean, again, that's very tedious, because it's not just like a learning a physical thing like playing guitar or some other sort of physical skill. You have to think because it's like Max said, this is not like learning Latin or learning Spanish or Portuguese where there's similar phrasing and word use and grammar and all that sort of stuff. This is like off the charts. And again, you are in high school. So do you see that similar sort of curiosity and approach to learning something applied in other areas outside of language throughout your life?
Yeah. I've been a computer geek for a long time. I really embraced computers.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I got bitten by the computer programming bug. It was the writing of computer code. And in my case, it was C++. Mm-hmm. And I go, it's a language. That's what they call it, computer language. I would love to, learn how to write that, like write my own program and double click on it. And it serves me some purpose. And I took a class in college. I go, this is going to be a breeze, man. It's because it's language, because I'm the language guy. Mm-hmm. And I just about dumped that class, man. It was so difficult for me. I was like, why is this so hard? It's just a language. And I don't know why, but I stuck with that. I wrote a program that like calculated my federal income taxes for me. Mm-hmm. Right. I wrote another one, Mac, that calculated a CG on an aircraft.
Damn.
And I got goes for my 3 programs that I wrote, the teachers. But when they looked at my code, they were appalled. They're like, my God, this could be written by this much script. And yours is like this. It's the most inefficient code, but it works. So we got to pass you. But God love you, sir.
CJ, like a lot of unit guys, you heard me talk about this. You'd sit down in the chow hall and you'd talk to fellow operators, and it wouldn't just be gun talk and calculation of demolitions charges. You'd learn about how interesting dudes were in all the freaking different.
Yeah, no kidding, man. Right?
I mean, it was unfreaking believable. It's like, wait a second, you do that? Oh yeah. Like, for instance, I just jotted down a couple things with George. We talked about the computers. We know because of his post photography. It's a big one of his. I helped get him into that too. We were developing film in my shed.
Go ahead, Mac. I just wanted to say that Mac's my dad, number one, but Mac is a guy that really got me into photography. Yeah. Just, looking at his work, I'd look at his album just about every day. Just, damn.
And this was,
I wanted to be able to do that.
This was shutter speeds and f-stops and pushing film and stuff like that, not just putting a camera on program mode and letting it rip. But also, before George's knees went south on him, he was a accomplished martial artist. I mean, like freaking really good kickboxer, woodworking. Holy shit. He went from building small, ornate shelves to a fully blown, complete shop in his garage. I mean, with vacuums and table saws and lathes and all this crap. And another artist, so George is an artist. And as far as the music goes, dude, George was playing freaking he was a band where they were doing Black Sabbath covers and stuff in the 70s or like that.
Yeah.
Well, talk about.
I'm scratching the surface.
Talk about some of the Chow Hall discoveries from other guys. I think that would be interesting.
I remember one. Well, I'm not going to say his last name, but Rick. I'm sitting across from him, and I didn't know he was a car guy. And I said, "Oh yeah, I'm building this car, from ground up. I'm restoring this car." And on the side, he buys other cars. Like he would buy a beat to shit 67 Ford Mustang fastback that nobody wanted because it had no engine in it or whatever. And he would piece it apart. And he knew that the market was strong because everybody wanted a 67 Ford Mustang fastback. And he would sell pieces on eBay, one piece at a time. So he'd buy this shit box for $3,000 and make freaking $8,000 off of this thing, just piecing it out. And then other guys who were like botanists, and had these hydroponic gardens and just massive, they're living off the land and stuff like that. I mean, it just went on and on.
But think about the dynamic here, because obviously where you guys ended up in a tier 1 unit was not necessarily everybody's motive for getting in the military to begin with. So you tend to think of guys going in the military as more knuckle dragging grunts. Right. So there's no higher aspiration. They couldn't get anything else going in their small town, so they might as well join the military. Mm-hmm. So, but you've got these guys with this, very, very gifted people. And for one thing, but again, then these very unique interests, they're not, like you said, they're not all related to guns and demolition or anything like that. Not tough guy stuff necessarily, but and yet with physical prowess as well. Mm-hmm. But, how do all of these unique gifted guys end up in the military to begin with? Because if I'd have ran into somebody like George, for example, in high school, and he's spending all his time learning Cantonese, not dating any chicks. No, I'm kidding. But he's spending all this time learning Cantonese. I'm thinking, okay, this guy's going to end up in university somewhere and doing this and probably go on to teach languages and all that kind of stuff. The last thing I would have pegged him for was the military. So why these unique characters heading towards the Army?
But I think one of the things is guys aren't satisfied, and every operator in that building is ADD. You just, how to, it's a kind of a curse when you're younger, but it's a blessing when you're older. Yeah. Because you want the next thing. What's the next challenge? What is my next thing? So it's always one in front of the other. And, those guys gravitate not just toward the military, but to special ops, because that requires a high level of aptitude and interest. And the skill sets are so freaking diverse. I mean, like talking, from being able to drive a vehicle to send Morse code to, doing math to, math for not like communications, but demolitions. And then the fighting thing, like most guys there, it was amazing how many fighters there were, not just high school wrestler, but like fighters. Like, I used to, I'm a Golden Gloves boxer, or they were doing MMA before MMA. Or I had a little section and covered me in Black Belt magazine and 1981, and I was like, holy crap, man! The skill sets were just all over the map. But so for me, it didn't surprise me, because especially like special forces guys, they have this massive skill set and they're cross-trained, and like every dude has got an individual specialty, but they're cross-trained in all of the other specialties as well. Mm-hmm. So it kind of ties in well with their with their personality and wanting to be driven and wanting another challenge and wanting the next thing. What's the next thing that I can do? You know, like George and I were similar in that, not just because you heard me talk about this. I don't just want to be an infantry guy. What's the next step? Well, special forces next step. What's after that? Well, I got to go to combat dive school.
Yeah.
So I went to combat dive school with George the first time and I didn't make it.
Me
I got
either.
washed out. I got washed out. Yeah. Washed out. Yeah. Yeah. But it was like, well, got to do that again. You know, got to get, you went, I think 6 months later. I went a full year later. But you got right back on that train. I mean, just jumped right back into it.
As soon as they sent me, I took it.
And then what's the next step? Well, got to go to Halo school. What's the next step?
Yeah.
You know? So, and then we went to, and it was years because I went to Berlin and George is still in first group, I think. And then we ended up going to selection at the same time. So I saw him there. I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, man.
It was an awesome reunion, you know?
Yeah. I was like, oh, no.
Yeah.
So had you guys ever discussed selection prior to both finding yourself there?
I don't think so.
No, we never did because there was a lapse there, Mac, you know, from when you went, I guess, Berlin and I was doing my thing. And it was just dumb luck that we showed up at the same time as selection, you know? It's like we hadn't talked in years, and it was it was fantastic, man. Really, my spirits went, you know, up.
Oh yeah. And we wouldn't see each other. It'd be days, you know, in selection.
Oh,
and then out in the middle of the West Virginia woods somewhere, you know, I'd cross paths with George and go, yeah. And you're not supposed to talk to other candidates because it's an individual basis, but we would freaking pound chests, you know, walking by each other. Yeah, get you some. Woohoo.
Yeah. I took my rifle and smacked my chest with it like that guy in Platoon.
I can still see that. I could still see that right now. You were walking up a hill and I was walking down. Yep. I could still see you coming. I mean, because it was a field. We were both coming out of the woods at different angles, and you were coming up, and I said, "That's freaking George there." And I gave him a and he's freaking.
And I hurt my chest. I hurt it. You know, it's like almost for the entire day. I was like, "Oh, my solar plexus! Why did I do that? Back, you asshole!" You know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right, so
then
we were early 90s. So this is about a year before Instagram came out. So nobody knows. Nobody knows anything about the unit. But you guys are special forces guys, so I'm sure you hear things. Did you really have any concept of what it was you were trying out for?
Yeah, to some degree, because some of the guys like from first group went and came back to sign out, you know?
Right.
And you chit chat with them very briefly. But I had a pretty good idea because I had guys, I think I told you this, CJ, I may have, and I don't know if George knows it, but I had an Australian SAS guy on my team in first group as an exchange, and his name was Greg Jack.
Greg Jack, yeah.
Yeah. And Greg was like top dog in Australian SAS.
Yeah.
And he was the one. Because he had served, when they do an exchange, they go from one American unit to the other. So they go to Rangers, they work with the FBI, they work with SEALs, they work with Special Forces, they work with the unit. And he had already worked with the unit, and he gave me some counseling one day. So one of my biggest mentors in the military was a guy from another country's military. And he said, hey, you know, you got your shit squared away. There are cowboys in the military, and there are really squared away units. He says, like the Rangers, they got their shit squared away. He goes, and I just came from Delta, and that's where you have to go. He said, you have to, at some point in your career, you have to go there. So an Australian SAS guy told me that. I was like, all right, bro. So, I mean, that was in 1987. He told me that. Oh, wow. So it was years later, but you know, it stuck with me because we didn't go, what were we in 91? We went to selection or 92?
No, it was 91. It was 91.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Yep.
Spring or no winter.
Because we finished OTC in 92.
Would have to be. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yep.
We got dumped hard with snow in selection.
Right.
A couple of days, real hard, man.
Yep. Hell yeah.
Hey, CJ.
Sir.
I want to interject a real short thing because
please.
But you know, regarding Mac and his photography. You know, when I went to Somalia, when I came back, I had 2 rolls of film, black and white, that I got from our photo lab, and I took photos while I was in Somalia. You know, and I had these rolls in there. This is some really important shit on these rolls. I took, for some reason, I took both rolls, turned them into the photo lab in town, because I didn't want our unit guys going, hey, no, you're not the judge. Give me my shit.
Right.
And when I went to pick up the pictures, they gave me one of the rolls back, and they said, we destroyed the other roll. I go, what do you mean you destroyed it? They go, yeah, we couldn't develop it, man. It was just, we don't have that kind of capability. And I thought, God, man, you destroyed some really important photos, but
wow,
what are you going to do? And I told Mac about it, you know, as my head was dragging ass. And Mac goes, I think I could do it. And he set up a freaking photo lab in his bathroom, you know, where it was dark, and wet photography, you know, means stop bath fixer, you know, developers fixer stop bath. And he developed a stack of friggin' photos, you know, 8x10s, you know, and the ones that didn't turn out were my fault. It was a really high resolution black and white film that was designed for aerial photography, you know? And so a bunch of them did turn out really well. But I go, Mac developed this shit in his bathroom. The professional store in town, it was too rich for their blood.
Right.
And that's just another thing that's, you know, someone that could do something that I couldn't do always really caught my eye. Like, that guy can do this thing it's amazing. I want to be able to do it too. You know,
now, what did you take?
That was tough. That was it was a type of, as I recall, it was called recording film. So it wasn't a film that it wasn't a black and white film that you would load in your 45 millimeter SLR, you know, and so there was I had no directions for it. So I cooked it, you know, I developed it like I would regular black and white, and I figured as long as I have the negatives, you know, as long as you have the negatives, you could really play with that enlarger and you know, and manipulate the hell out of that, because you could close and open the aperture and adjust the shoot time on that piece of paper, and then you could also adjust the temperature of the chemicals and all that stuff. But damn, man, I was so happy because one of those, George, you posted recently on Memorial Day, that picture of Sam Foster. I developed that one. That was in that stack.
Yeah, you developed that damn picture.
I developed that one. Yeah.
There's Sam Foster, and there's an excellent one of my teammate Will W. and Rod the Bod. Yep. Rod's helping Will get his kit on. Yeah, it's an amazing photo. Amazing.
Yeah,
photo.
I was some of that was luck, but yeah, I set that just a makeshift dark room up, and I was happy they came out, man.
Mac, that photo of Sam is I'm writing a book. I'm like one chapter away from finishing, and that photo is going on the cover.
Cool.
And therefore, you know, you're gonna get a byline in that book saying, nice. You know, photo.
Yep.
Absolutely, it's going to be, and the book is about, you know, guys like Sam.
Yep.
You know, that KIAs and passed aways and all that sort of thing.
Yep.
So what were you taking pictures of in Somalia? I assume this is the Somalia trip, right?
Yeah, Battle Black Sea, just right on the tail end of it, at the end of it. I mean, none of the pictures I took were just guys in and around the airport, you know, just forming up chocks to get ready to fly on Blackhawks. Guys coming back from flights. Somalis in the camp, you know, milling around doing certain things, working in the chow hall, all things like that. You know, nothing like not even a single picture in the city. But what I didn't want is some jackass to tell me that the pictures of the 3 Somali women, you know, with baskets on their head is classified somehow. And that's why I stayed away from our photo lab.
So you said you posted one of these photos?
I did. Yeah, I did. I posted it for Memorial Day. I call it a Memorial Day lineup of photos of, you know, like 20 some guys that I worked with that or KIAs over the years, and I post those about every Memorial Day.
Right.
But the one of Sam is amazing photo.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm looking at it right now. It's on my desktop
because it's candid and he's got it's cool. Yeah, cool look on his face.
It's really good capture of that guy's face, man. And I had to crop it because basically you see where his hands are, Matt. His pants were completely open, like he was doing his pants.
Right.
Like, I can't have that in here. So I clipped that off. But yeah, he was pulling his pants up, getting ready to fasten them. We were going for a flight over Bakar Market. Like, we're supposed to see how Bakar Market is.
So, now what squadron were you in? You guys in the same?
I was in A squadron.
Okay.
Yep. I was across the hall, B squadron.
Yep.
You're busy while you're at the unit. We were busy as hell. So, we didn't see each other too much. Like, one squadron may have been gone out training or overseas or what have you. But fortunately, we lived in the same neighborhood for several years.
Yeah.
And I think it was 243 meters away.
Yeah. Yeah. 243.
Yeah. I would pace count up to George's house and we'd drink a little Jack and talk shit.
Yeah. We'd catch up. And in fact, I've said on a number of occasions that, to be friends with Pat McNamara is to ratchet up your quality of life. That's what it's like.
That's nice, man.
Things are going to improve. You're going to improve. And
I'm still waiting on that, George.
I remember being in that, there came comment to North Carolina, and I was on the alert.
He's
site.
Improving, but I'm waiting for reciprocity, bro. Be honest with you. No, I'm kidding, man. It's been awesome, dude. Yeah,
we were in the alert cycle, and the hurricane was coming, so we had to leave Fort Bragg. We had to get out of there because we couldn't get caught in a hurricane and not be able to respond in 4 hours. All across So we flew up to Fort Campbell, Kentucky, to wait out the hurricane, and that sucked real bad because our families are back, and the comms are going out. We're not able to talk to them, and we know they're getting hammered. But we flew back the next day. When I pulled into our neighborhood, it's all pine trees, and those things have got no nuts at all. They got no roots. The roots are on the surface. They don't go deep. So all these pine trees are just knocked over. Like I got an abatis to drive through to get to my house, and I go, I got pine trees in my front yard, man. This is going to be ugly. And I pulled in. Sure enough, like 3 of them were right over the driveway. Wham, bam, bam. But there was a car width piece cut out of all 3 of them and pushed to the side. So I had a clear path to drive into my driveway. And I go, Mac did this. He got up early and he came over to my house and checked on it for me. And he saw there was those logs. He fired up his chainsaw and took care of it for me because he knew I was gone.
That was Hurricane Fran, 1996.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Yep. And I had just had my knee reconstructed. So I had this massive freaking full leg brace on. And I also, the night before, I knew the hurricane was coming. So I made a couple thermoses of coffee. And sure shit, man, no electricity.
It went out.
I was able to I chainsaw my guy across the street. They had one right in front of their door. And then I kind of piddled up the road and cut out whoever, but was able to deliver coffee to people. They're like, how'd you make coffee? I said, bro, I made this shit last night, man. I need my coffee in the morning.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Disaster.
But, it's that whole Batman thing, man. If life says, hey, here's an opportunity to be Batman, man, I'm going to jump at that. Batman with a small B.
Well, you were doing that during the last hurricane, at least trying to do it during the last hurricane.
Yep. Because
you're on a street full of unit guys, so it's like
right. Yeah.
Everybody's already Batmaned.
Yep.
Swimming in Batman. Okay, so George, so your squadron, ended up going to Somalia. As I recall, it was just after the 18-hour battle, right? You guys got there really
as
quick.
a result of that battle. And the fact that the C Squadron guys were not liking their Ranger outer security corridor. They weren't going to use them again. So they wanted to replace the Rangers with A Squadron and allow us to rotate, like one night we're outer security, next night they're outer security. That was the plan, and the Rangers were out of the picture.
Wow.
Yeah, wow, is right.
Yeah, cool shit, man.
Yeah, don't mean to hurt anybody's feelings, but
yeah, I mean, shit was real. Shit was real. I mean, it's like we got to work one morning and got gathered up, sent upstairs, and the boss put on a tape of Mike Duran, captured, showing Mike Duran making his statements, and then he read off a list of all the dead men, and all the wounded guys, and it was sucking pretty bad. I mean, these are guys that me and Mac went to, OTC with. And they said, yeah, we're deploying tonight. So take care of business and, fly out at like 10 o'clock that night. Get haircuts. We told we had to get Ranger haircuts so we could look like Rangers. And so we cut our hair like right there in the bay. It's guys pulled out clippers, skinned everyone's head, swept up the hair, and off we went. What's
the purpose of having to look like Rangers? To be indistinguishable or just weird protocol?
Yeah, I mean, it was an attempt to not look like a unit, an elite unit within an elite unit, and flag ourselves as the D boys,
right?
Which was silly because even though all we had was short hair, but we still had our black kit and our black helmets, and none of the Rangers had black stuff, so we were still standing out just as sore thumbish as ever. It was silly. All it was a silly guys, man.
It was a silly decision. It wasn't. So it was some army shit, bro.
It was probably some JSOC directed army bullshit.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Okay, so you guys have been friends for a very, very long time. So now you're in the unit. Did you guys do you don't have to go into any details, whatever you guys did decide what you say or what don't say, but you do some other stuff together? Or
I don't think we did. I think we kind of like tagged out like in Bosnia, that kind of stuff, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Nope. I don't even think we went to a school together.
No, the only school I went to in the unit was O&I.
Right.
As a master sergeant already, which pissed off a lot of group guys. And I was the class leader. I was like, yeah, you're right, man. I shouldn't be here. But guess what? My unit told me to come, and I'm here. And I think they're trying to give me a break.
Right.
Is what they're doing. Giving me 8 weeks of not deploying. So
now, George, you have any, what's my mind's going blank. I'm 54 and again today.
Yep.
The guy who became a sheriff, unit guy.
Oh, Greg Birch.
Holy shit. Yeah. Ironhead.
Some Birch stories. Everybody asks about him.
Yeah, man. Him and I are in touch just about every day.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of like me and Mac. We only send each other like one-liners. And I do it because, I've got a following of like hundreds of people. Max are thousands of people. Thousands. So
hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Fuck. Hundreds of thousands. How close are you to 400 grand?
I'm pretty close to 400,000 on Instagram. Yeah.
Damn.
And then my YouTube channel just went over 6 million views.
Yeah, he's got over 100,000 subscribers there. I think he's about 80-something thousand on
Minch and Monet.
Fist in the Facebook.
Yeah.
Well, so you helped me with my point there. The point is, I'm not going to blow up Mac's freaking his phone with text messages because he's got all these clowns hammering him all the time. So
I'm one
I
of
love
them.
it. Yeah, I love it, man. When George pops up on my feed.
Yeah, I make sure it's enough time's gone by and it's important enough.
Yep.
And try to keep it down to a one-liner.
Short, clear, and concise.
Yeah, man.
And it usually cracks me up. And it's always perfect timing too. It's like, damn it. I don't know how George knew this, but I needed to laugh my ass off right now. Shit.
I can say that Ironhead Birch, he said when he turned 40 in the unit, he the day before he turned 40, he invited me and Levi Morgan.
Yep.
He invited me and Levi to attend his birthday party the next day. And I said, I'm in, and Levi was, yeah, I'm in too. And he goes, well, okay, the party starts at like 6:00. So he showed up at 6:00 and he had his gas mask, his protective mask in his hand. And he goes, you'll need your protective mask. So I'm like, oh, this is not sounding good at all. So we all put on our protective masks and he goes, follow me. And we did the gate to gate. And so we're running about a mile to the beginning of the obstacle course with this mask, it's like, and so we did the big obstacle course with mask on. That takes like, I don't know, 15 minutes, or 12 minutes if you're Mac probably. Mm-hmm. And we did that. And from there, we hoofed it over to the counter-terrorist obstacle course. You'd only do one or the other in a single day, but now we're going to go do both.
Yep.
And so we're doing the counter-terrorist course, and now we're jumping onto the roofs of the range sheds and climbing over those and running up and down the damn berms. And it starts raining, and that's bad news for a mask because when your filters get wet, they stop letting air through. I go, why shouldn't it rain though? Think about it. And
right.
And we finished. It was we're done. So we did the gate to gate with a protective mask on to celebrate Greg's birthday.
40th birthday.
Yeah, I pulled our masks off. Nobody recognized each other because your face just like turns into something else. And I remember I'm telling you what, CJ, I had in my left buttock, I had a sharp pain in there after that lasted for years. And I think I accepted that it was never going to go away. And, I would tell Greg, I was like, yeah, every time I think of you, I think about this pain in my ass, and it finally did go away like 3 years later. I was like, wow, it's gone.
So you didn't think he was, was it a surprise that he was going to do something sadistic like that for his birthday? Did you figure he was going to pull something like that?
Well, we knew it was going to be a gut check, and he was going to try to shake us, drop us in the dirt, and leave us behind. It didn't happen. And Levi, he actually came out in front of me. Greg was first. Levi was out there, and I asked him. I said, "How do you do it, man? I never see you in the gym. I never see you running. I never see you do PT. You're kind of a twerp. How do you do it?" And he goes, "Well, I had the Lord with me."
Oh yeah.
And I was
Levi.
Well,
that, yeah.
I can't compete with that, man. If you've got God, I've got nothing. So more power to you, buddy. He had strength like crazy.
Yeah, so that was so that's typical Greg Birch, because the last story I heard from Mac about it was when Mac went up into that whatever that room was and the loft and turned the lights on, and he kind of rolled over still in his kit or whatever and did some push-ups and ran the obstacle course.
Yeah, man, that son of a bitch, bro. You probably remember this story, George, but you go to work and you have a PT time, but yes, guys would want to do it twice a day. So they'd come in a little early, and do it before breakfast. And you think, oh, I'm getting a leg up on everybody, getting a leg up.
Yep.
And you're coming in at 6 and there's guys finishing with PT. It's like, damn it, let me come in earlier. Let me come in at 5:30. And then let me come in at 5. So, now I'm coming in at 5 to get 2 hours in a PT before I shower and eat breakfast. And I'm like, oh man, I'm ahead of the power curve now. And I climb up into the loft to work heavy bags, turn on the lights, and boom, Greg Birch is sleeping there in a complete horizontal death lay, just like a corpse in his full kit. And his head is on his freaking brain bucket. I turn the lights on and he rolls over and starts knocking out push-ups. This is a guy, you'd never see him in a gym, but he was going to go run the obstacle course. He was going to go drag stuff. He was going to go climb walls. And I was like, damn, man. Well, at least I kind of tied him this time, sort of tied. But it was like that with so many guys in here. So freaking many.
Yeah. I still get it.
I mean, I told a story about, I invented that gate to gate. So it's both obstacle courses, and then it's a massive run before, massive run after. It's all the buildings, and I had a time in my head. Yeah. I tell this guy Ski, Walt, because he was an 8 Squadron guy. Walt. Yes. Yep. So Walt was just a freaking cyborg, and I tell him, I said, "Yeah, I invented this thing." He's like, "Oh, cool." So I'm explaining it to him. I'm eating lunch with him, and he goes, "What's a good time?" I said, "Well, my opinion is." You're passing if it's gate to gate in 38, right? That's a good score. Gate to gate in 38, good score. He said, well, what is your time? I said, well, I did it in 34. He said, is that the best time you've seen? I said, well, it's only been done a couple times. And one of the guys on my team did it in a 32. And I'm like, and he's going, So the next day I see him in the chow hall. And he's all sweaty. He got out of the shower, but he's all still sweating. And I sit down. I said, did you do it? He goes, yeah, man, freaking great. It was awesome. He's blabbing about it. And I said, what was your time? He goes, 29.
Oh, man. Oh, my God.
I'm like, damn, bro. Are you freaking kidding me? I mean, but it was always like that,
And there was a lot of guys, because you see pictures sometimes. Some guys look like your skinny Uncle Al.
Right.
Yeah.
Looking through binoculars. So they're not all this way.
Right.
But those guys there's still got to be that same modus operandi, that same mentality, that same outlook, because they got there somehow. They got maybe through selection. Somehow they did that long walk. Somehow they do the PT, but they don't look like they could do a deadlift.
Right. No, you're absolutely correct. And most of the top, the high performers there were long and sinewy.
Yes.
I'm talking, I'm talking 6 foot, 180 pounds.
Really?
So yep. So sinewy, but they're shredded, bro. Don't get me wrong, And what they have more than anybody is this massive freaking attitude that says, I cannot be beaten in anything. Nobody's going to beat me in anything. And once again, what is the next challenge? Who is going to challenge me? Who is going to who? Bring it on. So the attitude resonated throughout. It wasn't just one person. It was most of them were like that.
Now, did guys have so much attitude that they were just jackasses to be around?
It wasn't a good place to be a jackass because somebody was going to put you in your fucking place, man.
Right.
Yeah.
It just seemed that would happen.
Yep. I mean, guys were jackasses, but boom, instantly shut down. I mean, instantly, because I was a jackass and instantly somebody was in my face saying, bro, you're a fucking jackass.
Really?
Yeah, man. It was in a heartbeat, man. Yeah. In a freaking heartbeat. Yeah. So yep, absolutely. Guys were jackasses, but it wouldn't last long. You couldn't be a perpetual jackass.
Yeah, no such thing as either.
Another thing is, we had a guy, Mac knows this guy from A Squadron. It's Brian Mook and the rest of it. Yep. He was the closest thing to a major league jackass. But boy, he sure had the moves to back it up.
Yeah, he could back it up, man.
That notwithstanding, though, he ended up rolling a rental car in Panama. So now he's the GOAT. He's the dipshit, and he made the Great Equalizer, the cartoon book. He went into the A Squadron cartoon book, and Mac had the B Squadron cartoon book. And if you wanted to be a jackass, you would end up in his cartoon book not looking good.
Right.
So that was another equalizer. Some guys really wanted to be in it real bad. I want to be immortalized in this book.
Yeah.
And other guys were scared shitless of it. They didn't want. And in the end, all these years later, guys will send me an email or something. Goes, hey, do you still have that cartoon of me? I'm like, yeah, I got it. I'll send it to you. Here you go.
The good thing about the cartoon book, when you're the artist, you got to make sure your shit doesn't stink.
Yeah. You're not, I made my own cartoon book by, by not performing well, but they loved it in the end. And and in the end, me and, Mac and a representative from Squadron who did a cartoon book for them, we all came together,
collaborated
with some, we collaborated, and we had some little bit of horsepower. And the idea was, and it wasn't even our idea, it was this other guy's idea. You want to pull all three of them in and make a unit cartoon book, hardcover, and get that thing printed. And it would be an in-house sort of thing, a gift for VIPs and just, amongst the guys, an in-house thing. And the command poo-pooed it. They poo-pooed it. And frankly, Mac, I was goddamn livid over that. I was livid over that.
Here's the good news. I've returned there, like during a informal, and the book still exists. Our collaboration, mine and yours, the one that we collaborated, that's still in B Squadron.
Damn.
Yep, still there.
That's good to hear. And and now these days, I write essays for like Soft Rep, and I'll pull a cartoon out of that book and go, here's an essay, a full essay right here.
Right.
Tell the backstory, slam the cartoon in there, and people just go nuts.
Yep.
They go nuts. And I'm getting paid for that. And my position is, I offered this up to the unit for free, and they said, go, fuck you. So now, I'm making money off of it, and people are loving it.
No bitterness there.
No sour grapes, man.
Now, George, what year did you retire?
I retired in 2001, January of 2001.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was that how did you feel once September 11th came around?
It came, and I was in the air. I was on an airliner when that happened, and I got diverted to DFW, and woke up and said, this is not Vegas Airport, It's not Vegas Airport. Anyway, there were about 14 unit guys working at the DOE in my division. We didn't come in there and just like work for people. We created our own division and did our own work there. Said, here's what we'll do for you. And told the DOE, the manager of the National Nuclear Security Administration, here's what we'll put on for you. And they go, that sounds great. So it was great. We had 14 guys there. And we had a hunch that we were talking amongst ourselves, like, are we going to get called back to the unit? Can they even do that? I wouldn't go, or I don't know, I might go. And anyway, the unit sent a sergeant major, sent Rick Hall. They sent Rick Hall, came up, and we knew why he was there, laid out a conference room. We all stood there, and he gave us a spiel, So we want you all to come back. You tell us what you want to do in the unit, how you want to support the war. You can be running as fast as you can, throwing grenades and shooting a freaking AR, or you can be back in another country, processing air requests. You tell us what you want to do. And he left, and not a single person went back.
Really?
Yeah. And I said, when he left, and we're all looking at each other said, well, look, don't let this be a group think decision. Everyone's got to make their own decision.
Right.
So mine's made. I'm not going back. I left. It was not easy. And I left, and I meant it. And I'm not going to, backpedal and run back there. So yeah, I didn't do it.
Is that how you understood it though? Is backpedaling?
Well, it was hard to leave there. And I always wondered, everyone I knew that got out was doing contracts in Iraq, and doing contracts. And they were basically had their ass out just as much as they did when they were in the unit. Mm-hmm. I said, why would you get out of unit and do the same shit outside of the unit? Mm-hmm. And it just floored me. I go, yeah, if I get out, I'm not going to I'm not going to be shooting guns. I'm not going to be deploying. I'm going to be working, a really mundane office job of sorts. It didn't work out that way, but yeah, I did what I planned to do and stuck with it. And I did for 16 years, I worked for the DOA. Then I worked counter human trafficking for 4 years until February of just last year here in Albuquerque.
Yeah.
Counter human trafficking.
No, so are you done with that work, or is that just shut down because of COVID?
It's not shut down, and I walked from the organization because I was there at the beginning when they were developing. I developed their hunt methodology on how they hunt human traffickers, and over 4 years, it worked out really well. But at the end of 4 years, they had started to become a different organization than the one I signed up to.
Yeah.
And I stepped out for that reason. Cases that I was working on when I walked away, the organization dropped those women. That case is too complicated for this organization without George here.
Yeah.
So they followed me. I got one case that I'm still working on. I've been working on it, with no resources. So yeah, since February of 2018 or 2019 rather, and it's gotten some great traction recently. I mean, I finally got Department of Homeland Security Investigations, Salt Lake City, to interview this victim, take on her case, and they pulled in a task force from the FBI. So we've got Salt Lake City, we've got FBI Montana, FBI headquarters in Washington, D.C. And last week we roped in Royal Canadian Mounted Police, the RCMP, from British Columbia, because in this case there's a whole bunch of corpses buried. Most of them are in British Columbia. About 3 of them are in Montana. So they're getting real close to deploying out there to start digging.
George, can you give us a picture of just where things are with sex trafficking? People hear the term now more than they ever have. It's been going on a long time. Can you give everybody a bit of a reality check on, I don't know what the stats are, what, people they just hear sex trafficking. They don't know whether it's just kids. Is it foreigners? Is it what?
It's all of it. I mean, I was never good with the stats. I know it's a $1 billion industry just in the United States alone.
Wow. The
foster care and the child protective services, ironically, are some of the biggest conduits of it. I mean, a rat bastard in this country can adopt a whole bunch of kids.
Right.
He can qualify. In some cases, a person that has a pedophile conviction in his records was able to adopt more kids.
Jeez.
So kids are disappearing through the foster care system. It is mostly children, but it does include adults. And the amount of foreign sex trafficked persons we have in the United States is really high, particularly, and I worked at this specific avenue myself for a few months that I just hated the guts out of those months. Massage parlors with, the Asian flavored massage parlors.
Right.
Like the Sea Massage, Southeast Asia massage. And the thing is, they're going in to get the massages, then they're getting, sex service. And the women that are working in there are slaves. They came into the country under an auspice of some other kind of function, and presto, now they're caught and they can't get out. Like I've witnessed massage parlors closing down and nobody leaving. Like the girls didn't leave; they're inside there, living, eating, and sleeping there on the same tables they give massages. And so it's tremendous. It's rampant. In academia, even, I mean, college professors, some of the biggest, I can't even think of the word I'm looking for. They're guilty of so many counts of, misconduct with students, and, forcing them to have sex, that sort of thing, pedophiles. There's a tremendous amount of them in academia, at university levels and such. And that's just, it's one of those instances where a really good job of helping to cover that sort of thing up due to the amount of embarrassment that it causes. I was pretty appalled. In the organization I worked for was an extant effort in that we only went after the networks, the network players and the networks, like the orchestrating pimp, the guy that's putting all this together, and his lieutenants and all the people that are working in his network. We went after those guys. And when you knock down those network players and the network dissolves, you've actually done something.
Right.
I mean, rescuing kids is, everyone wants, all these other organizations, that's what they're doing. They're rescuing kids because it's sexy and it's fun and it's rewarding, and everyone loves them because they saved, the cute little 9-year-old blonde girl. But, plucking kids out of a network doesn't do jack shit. It's equivalent to trying to shoplift Walmart out of business, is what it is. You take a product out, you just create some space for some new product that's probably younger. You're not okay. You're saving a kid. That's like the smallest element of this whole mess, and that's just one. And now there's one back in there anyway. So what have you really done? You take down a network, it's a different story.
And I'm glad.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that had to have been everybody knows it goes on, but to see something up close, its reality, especially someone like you, that had to be a stomach turning revelation.
It was, man. I had some hard days with it. And, another good reason for me to leave, if I didn't already have a damn good one, was I believe it was making me melancholy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It started to make me sad on a permanent basis, and have just a really bad outlook. And that since has subsided, but I did a lot of work I was the only guy authorized to work out on the street. Did a lot of beacon work, like slapped some GPS beacons on pimp cars. Did a lot of photo work, Mac, a lot of facial ID photos from surveillance positions.
Cool.
Bam.
Yep.
Really put some solid cases together by taking, a seemingly underage young woman posting on Backpage.com, taking her photo and mashing it up with my surveillance photo. Now there's tattoos and everything too. And there's beyond a shred of a doubt, there's a solid case there that the FBI or HSI goes, that's her. That's the same girl. And where is she again? Okay, here she is. She's right here. Here's how you get there. Here's the cars that have been showing up to bring her food. That's going to be a pimp, or it's going to be a bottom bitch. You're working for the pimp. And I got some big dudes taken out of Albuquerque. They're like the number 1 and 2 biggest traffickers. It made such a difference that it changed the face of Backpage in Albuquerque.
Wow.
Just completely changed it. Just
awesome.
Didn't look the same. And both of those guys got life no parole because they both had murder ones wrapped up in their trafficking of minors, their Mann Act violations, bringing minors from over state lines to traffic them in New Mexico, and then their drug dealings. So all 3 of those things wrapped up. The one guy that pleaded not guilty, he ended up, getting life. The other guy, he confessed immediately. He just said, for him and his wife and his 3 other guys that were networked there, he said, yeah, you got me. My mom was a hoe. My dad was a pimp. That's all I've ever known. So you got me. So we didn't have to go grand jury with that guy. Just sentenced him right there. It's in the papers. You can look him up.
Damn, well, then what's next for you, George, after all this?
Yeah.
Well, I had to
open a florist or something, dude.
I think you're onto something there. But I had an organization on the East Coast. I helped them stand up. They put in a resume to my organization, and it got disrespected. This guy did, former fifth group guy with an amazing resume. They disrespected him. He goes, George, screw those guys. I'm going to start my own organization out on the East Coast, in Boston. And I helped him stand it up. And he offered me the CEO position. And I flat turned it down. He wanted to move me to Boston. Said, nah, I just bought a house for my children. And we're staying right here.
Yeah. So
there's that. And I'm gonna see this last case through. We're gonna dig up a young child here real soon and get that thing busted, wide open. I've been in the writing I've been doing I've written for a lot of portals. SoftRip has been really good to me, and I've got a tremendous workload to them. And I've got my own book. I'm publishing it through them. And another guy is a former Night Stalker, AH-6 attack helo pilot. His name's Greg Coker, and he told me to tell Pat McNamara hello. And I wondered if Mac would even know this guy's name, but he's not a good writer, so he asked me to ghostwrite it for him. And I went under contract with SoftRep at Greg Coker, and I'm ghostwriting his book. And his is about it's 2 chapters shy from being finished. So I've been every single day, sun up to sundown, just writing my ass off. And to me, writing for someone else is a different thing. It's like I can be sloppy with my own stuff, but I got to be good for this guy, man.
Right.
That's right.
And there's that, and there's a third unit guy that is going under contract to write a book, and he's a shitty writer, according to him. They want me to ghostwrite that one.
Yeah, you're busy, bro. That's pretty busy. Yeah. Coker's a good freaking cat, man.
I'm glad you know him, man. I'm glad you know him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I knew him at the unit, ish from working with him, but then we got pretty chummy. In 2004, he went to the All Army Small Arms Championship with me.
Yeah, he's a shooter, that guy.
Yep. I took first place in that one in 2004, and he was
Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah, he was like by my side on that thing. So he's a good freaking cat, man.
Yeah, I mean, I had known him. He helps vets that are in trouble, and I think Greg Birch squealed on me. Told him I was having trouble, and he was putting together. He was putting together deployment to come out to Albuquerque and help me out. I talked him out of that, but I thought, what a guy.
Yep.
Don't even know him from Adam, and he's going to do this for me. So we got to, know each other that way. And I heard a story about him. He told me he came through and stopped to visit, and I was like, I don't want this, but here he is. And he told me a story how he got shot down in Iraq. He got knocked out by a surface air missile, a gimlet, knocked him right out of the sky, man.
Yep.
Probably should have died, but he auto-rotated, then flipped end over end. And it was the most amazing story. And I said, hey, can I write that story up about you? He goes, yeah. And I put it off for a year. I kept feeling guilty, like once a month, then once a week, then once a day, I was feeling guilty. So I contacted you, I know it's been a while, Greg, but I really want to get your story out. And he agreed to do it, and I wrote the story. And the story was freaking phenomenal.
Yeah. And
then I started goading him about writing more stories, for SoftRep. And Kyle Lamb of Viking Tactics was pushing him real hard to write a book. So I was pushing him to write a book. He prayed to the Lord, and the Lord said, write your book. And so we did it. That guy was smoking out 2 or 3 chapters a day, just throwing them at me. And I was like, God, I pushed everything aside, my own book aside, because I think his is more important, and I've just been nothing but hammering out stuff for that guy. And we're going to be done in a few days.
Is this for Birch you're talking about?
No, this is for the Night Stalker, Greg Coker.
Okay, yeah.
But his stories are, I just have to push myself away from the keyboard and just go, I can't believe what this fucker's gone through.
Mm.
Can't believe it.
Yeah, he's a good cat, bro.
It's unbelievable, even for a guy like me. And it wrecked the shit out of him when he got out of the service. He was wrecked, man. Mental troubles. And he's still, you could tell. But he's worked real hard to try to get back to normal life again.
That's a lot of writing. That's a lot of writing, George. Let's hope you still remember that English language.
Yeah, I mean, I've noticed. I mean, I smoked through his stuff, and I realized that I've gotten a lot of writing experience in a real short amount of time.
Yeah.
And if I go back and look at my own chapters, I know I would like want to scrub them again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because so and that's a big deal, and neither of us expect to make a profit off of it, and that's not why either one of us are writing it. And I wrote mine for my progeny, legacy for my kids. Sure. Like, this is your dad, this is what he did, and for the kids of the guys in the book, there's so many of them. Right. Bob Horrigan's in there, mm-hmm. And his kids it's already been contacted me. Could you tell any stories about my dad? I'm like, yes, I can. I can tell you stories, and they're going to be published. And Sam Foster's, he's got the biggest chapter in there, and his kids are thrilled, to see it.
His daughter pinged me on email.
Really?
Yeah,
Courtney, right?
Yeah. Sam, I think she's a Samantha.
Oh, wait. Sam Foster's daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Her name is Samantha.
Right.
And when she wrote to me, the message came through from Sam Foster, and it really fucked me up for a second.
Right.
He's speaking to me from the dead, because I really missed that dude, and
yep.
So yeah, I've got a pretty good rapport with her, and his son Ian. Yeah, I mean, they were like wearing diapers the last time I saw them.
Yep. Cool, man.
Wow.
Damn.
Well,
I'm glad you're staying busy with that stuff, George. You're the right guy for it, man.
I'm busy as hell, Mac. Just
good.
Freaking busy. Yeah.
Awesome. Yep.
Well, we'd George sometime, because it's something I've been wanting to do, which is because we have this coaching squad now, which is behind a paid wall.
Mm-hmm.
So get guys like yourself to maybe come spend a little time with us talking to these group members, where it's at a more even private discussion. I don't know if you'd be open to that, and
at some point,
Yeah, I would, man. I mean, I've been approached by a lot of people, guys wanting me to speak at their graduations, mm-hmm. ROTC and officer candidates course graduations and that sort of thing. One guy is a captain. He's considering resigning his commission to go try out for the unit. And I'm like, I cannot advise you there, sir. I mentored him through ROTC, and now he's, in the Army, and he's a freaking captain, and he's talking about resigning it because he wants to be like me and Mac. It's like, you got to go somewhere else. I mentored a guy through selection, and he made it. Mac, he made it, but he got the boot for CQB. Floored me. Neither one of us saw that coming.
Wow.
Yeah. But I mean, everyone that's contacted me and said, hey, would you help me? And I've always helped anybody that's contacted me. Never turned anybody down.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
So, yeah.
Yep. With you on that.
Well, that's awesome. Well, one thing I can promise you is you won't have to leave that chair.
I won't have to put pants on, right?
You won't have to put pants on either. Remember, well, shirtless. In the squad, we do it shirtless.
Having more pants since 1 January.
George, thank you so much. I know you guys could tell stories. Oh, no, I wanted that. I think everybody's going to, I got a feeling people are going to eat this one up.
Yep.
They get, and one of the things why, I mentioned about you helping us even at some point in the squad, doing a couple things, is just that, everybody loves the things that are connected to Mac and his personal history, but especially some of his closest friends and teammates. You know what I mean? So, I'm really wanting to see more of that because I know that's where people's heads are at. It's just a curiosity thing, and I think it's great because there's a reason, because there's gold in those hills, and I love being on the front line of the flies on the wall for all of this stuff. And Mac's been so generous, just with sharing with me stuff offline. But I know that you can't obviously talk about everything, but there are things that, I know that you guys, have a lot that you can, share. Because a lot of these guys, again, I joke about the tier 1 civilian thing, but I think that's what the thing is
I like it.
You know what I mean? They want to apply that sort of mentality and mindset because they don't find it. You guys you live with guys like that. You work with guys like that. And of course you came out of that. And like for Mac, he had to go. It took Sherlock Holmes and a team of hound dogs to find somebody else with that kind of mentality. If anything, it was the complete opposite, once he got back in the civilian world. But I think we've attracted, people who want something better for themselves. They want to be challenged for their next level. But at the same time, there's only so much they want to listen to me and Mac too. So if we can, get some more voices in there, that's kind of the purpose of that. But, so is there anything
we'll find the right spot, we'll find the right spot for them.
Okay. I'm on board.
So is there any kind of contact information you want to put out for people to follow anything that you're doing? Articles?
Yeah. I mean, I've written for We Are the Mighty and a couple of other portals. SoftRep, I started with them 4 years ago and got, like all of us writers, got laid off at one point, except for 2. I'm not sure what was going on there, but when the managing editor changed over, the former writer who stepped up to take the managing editor's position, the first thing he did is turn around and hired me back under his salary because they wouldn't give him a budget for me. So he was paying me out of his salary just to please turn in articles, and he's brought that site back up again.
Wow.
SoftRip is, that's really it. I've written for over 4 years. It's like 200 to 300 essays on there. If somebody was wanting to read more, that's where they're at.
Yeah. So SOFREP, right?
That's it. Stands for Special Operations Report.
So look up George Hand. Does it say the 4th on your
It is the 4th
byline? George Hand, the 4th. When I hit him up about this podcast, Mac, I said, I don't want to talk to the 2nd. I don't want to talk to George Hand the 3rd. I don't even want to talk to George Hand the 1st. Give me George Hand the 4th.
Hey, what chance have I got against my son? He's His Excellency George Edward Hand the 5th. Next Pope, future Pope.
Okay, so go. Well, let me just ask that question before we close out here. George Hand the 1st. How far does that go back?
1910, I believe.
Really? What was he doing?
I looked at a census. That's the year that they came over. His name was Alan Hand, and his son was George Edward Hand the 1st.
Okay.
So that's, so you got senior, junior, the 3rd, and the 4th, and the 5th. And I photoshopped myself.
Oh, yeah, I saw that picture.
Did you see that?
Yeah, on the couch.
Yeah, I got my first, second, third, fourth. Then I photoshopped me next to my dad, which looked kind of creepy because I'm older than him in this picture. And, we're all pressed up against each other. And I got young George V, in my arm because he's like 2.
Right.
Yeah. And I had to extend the couch, which was really tricky in Photoshop, but I did it. And of course, the wall behind us. I liked it. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, man. I saw that. That was badass. Yep.
Well, George, we're going to shut this out. Stay on here. Don't hang up when I close this out. But
roger that.
Yeah, we'll talk briefly here for a second. But again, thank you so much, brother, for your time and sharing. Again, you're such a great communicator. So it's just wonderful to sit here and just listen to the stories and give us insight into your way of thinking. It's very, very badass. So you're adjunct professor of the Badassery.
Adjunct professor. I love it, man. I'll get me a t-shirt.
Yeah, we're going to milk that academic thing out of the Badassery forever. But again, thank you so much. And, I did everybody, SOFREP, sofrep.com to learn more about the good things that George Hand is doing. Mac, how do people need to follow you, man?
T-Max Inc. on everything. T-Max, TMACSINC, T-Max Inc.
That's good.
To follow this podcast at University of Badassery on Instagram, and you got to add a definite article, the universityofbadassery.com online. To follow me, it is at Metal Motivator, and Metal Motivation on everything else, YouTube and the Fist in the Facebook. But good things coming ahead, ladies and gentlemen. Again, we would love to have you in the coaching squad. Keep the Blaze Alive coaching squad. Lives are being changed. People are setting and achieving goals. New relationships are being formed. There's a community being built. We're out to change the world through the power of education. And we're so thankful for the COVID-19 to give us the opportunity to finally start this thing. We've been talking about it for 2 years.
Ooh, yeah.
So Mac, with a little bit of time to do some of this stuff, is going to help steer history, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, we're that bold. And we made the commitment to finish all of our strategies. In fact, we'll say this, even with the strategy session with George Hand, the commitment me and Pat Mac made, whenever we talk or have a strategy session, doesn't matter how good it is and how productive it is, we have to always finish by saying, we're not thinking big enough.
That's right.
We're just not thinking big enough. So we can change things with education, guys. So go to patreon.com/coaching squad. We have 3 tiers. Tier 3, Tier 2, Tier 1, all at different price points, all video-based. But as you go up, we do the live streaming. We do Zoom calls. We're talking about business, marketing, entrepreneurship, all the way down to tying knots, orienteering guns, camping gear, all Sentinel stuff, combat strength training, soup. Max even covered soup in the coaching squad.
I'm going to do several cooking blocks.
Presto.
But it is an outstanding way to interact with Pat Mac and myself. So again, patreon.com/coaching squad. And thank you again to Invader Coffee. Thank you again to Taconic Distillery. And that's all I've got to say. So, and remember, in whatever you do, Mac,
don't suck.
Metal up.